Steve Kavanagh there from the Metropolitan Police. Well, listening to all that, Pastor Nims Oblinge is Chief Executive of the Peace Alliance and works with the community in Tottenham, joins us live from central London. Very good to talk to you, Pastor. I suppose you would echo precisely what the Deputy Assistant Commissioner was saying there to those that want to carry out this kind of violence, that want to carry out this kind of robbery, this kind of looting, that you are only damaging your own communities.
Absolutely. We are asking and we're calling for calm and peace in our communities. Yesterday I walked down the streets of Tottenham and I saw the damage that has happened. Today I did the same thing, and it's disheartening. We've lost our post office, we've lost our job center, we've lost local businesses. Yesterday I was speaking to a mother who was woken up by a young person to get out of bed and because her home was being burnt. And she told me how somebody helped carry her baby to get out on the streets. People who don't have home contents insurance, their lives have been destroyed. So I'm asking the young people or those who want to go out, understand you're destroying our community. But then I think, having said so, it's important that we seek truth, transparency throughout this process, because this should never happen and should not be allowed to happen ever again. And we've got to look at some of the trigger points and explore what those trigger points were and see whether there was a way that it could have been dealt with better. I'm not convinced that we have dealt with this in the most effective fashion. I'm not convinced that the laws allow the engagement with police, with their local community when it's an IPCC investigation, because maybe the police needed to have had a conversation with its local community to say, this is where we are, this is what's going on. Following the incident on Thursday with the shooting of Mark. And ensure that the family were supported. There wasn't an effective support framework for the family. So those things have helped act as catalyst for what became a very criminal act in our community.
It's fascinating what you're saying there about how things snowball there, and this issue you're identifying as of communication in the early stages from the police and the IPCC investigating the shooting of Mark Duggan. You mentioned there the role of community leaders like yourself, and I'm just interested in how much you have the ear of some elements of the community who presumably won't talk to the police. You play an important role in this and getting the message across, don't you?
I dare say, I'm just I'm a part of a big jigsaw puzzle, and it is a puzzle, and there are many others who are working in the community and across communities. I was actually out there on Saturday with the families of Mark, and I saw as the situation escalated. I was there for 5 hours. Working with the family and the members of the community, and several other leaders were there. I chose to be there because I wanted to ensure. I listened to the partner tell me what was wrong. What they wanted answers, and I think I watched as the things escalated. I spoke with some of the young people there, and there are other leaders who have been speaking with the young people. But it's great to hear. The police are going to be there to protect lives and property hereafter, but. Here's my question. After the arrest, after convictions, what happens? Those young people will still come out feeling disenfranchised, feeling disconnected. There's a bigger issue. There's a much deeper concern. And, we can't look for short fixes anymore. We need to look for a long-term solution that will ensure that those young people that have been caught up in this form of behavior find that they're not given this poverty of aspiration and poverty of hope and feel that they can continue to destroy their own community. Something needs to be done. And that's not something we as community leaders can do on our own. We need the support of politicians. We need the support of statutory agencies. We need a lot more support than we're getting to be able to support our young people. In our borough, 75% of youth services have been cut off. That's massive. So I think we're dealing with a lot of issues. I don't condone what has happened, but I do think we've got to kind of get to a place where we start looking at what's going on. We can't have London burned. We can't have London destroyed. We love our city. We've got to work together to make sure this doesn't happen again. And tonight in Tottenham, we're having a vigil of hope from 7 to 8, and we're calling the community to stand together and say, as a resilient community, we won't let this continue.
I'm interested, though, when you talk about a vigil like that, though, do you have, and getting the message loud and clear from you, Pastor, that of course you don't condone the violence, but there are complex issues at play here. Do you have, though, do even you have those lines of communication, the ear of some of these younger people who, as you yourself say, feel disenfranchised, not connected to any element of society? They feel that, you know, they've only got themselves to look out for, that they won't talk to you, they probably don't even know who you are.
Well, yes and no. I run a program for young people who are NEETs, and they're 18 to 25 NEETs, not in education and employment training. I've been running that for the last number of, I've been working across that for quite a while. And we've had 2 or 3 programs, and these are, what we do is we provide apprenticeship program, mentoring and leadership programs for young people who have fallen out of the school system, who've been caught up either in the prison systems. And I go into prisons quite a lot, and I spend a lot of time with folks who have come out. And so I don't want, this is not about me. Yes, some of them may have my ear. I don't expect all of them to have my ear, but I know those, they're listening to a range of us. And I speak with some of the folks, for instance, in different parts of, in some estates which have community leaders. I don't know all the estates, but I do know leaders in many of the estates. We're working together. We're trying to make a difference. And I think these young men who are disenfranchised respect some of the leaders in their community. What we've got to do is ensure we listen to those leaders, we listen to those young people. They want to be heard, and we must give them a forum to hear their voices, understand what the issues are, because it is fine to say the police will arrest, but my concern is after they arrest, and we're going to prisons. We do work in, I've worked in Feltham and Belmarsh and many other prisons in this country, but that's not enough. We need to bring them out and give them opportunities.
I mean, it's fascinating what you're saying there, Pastor Nims, about, yes, okay, you must be punished if you commit these kind of crimes, but then what happens? You still live in this society. You have to address those underlying issues. I mean, to drill down into those, do you feel that the economic issues are part of the problem here? And indeed race, does that come into it as well?
I mean, race has always been a challenge, but we know that what happened over the weekend was not strictly related to black folks. We saw white folks being arrested. We're talking about poverty of aspiration, the white working class. This is not a black or white issue at this moment. There are issues around disaffection within the black community. But let's look at communities across our capital that where poverty exists. What is being done to help raise the aspiration? This is a very dire time where financial hardship is so serious in the UK at the moment. And like I said, if you're cutting youth services, you're cutting opportunities to give people apprenticeship programs, then in essence, you're actually saying to these young people, we don't really care about your future. And the message has to go out. David Cameron speaks about the big society. This big society has to embrace these young people. And we need to find a way, working holistically together. And I can't do it on my own, and I don't intend to, and neither do the community leaders that I'm working with. But we are making a demand on government, on the private sector, and on all who care. To avoid this happening again, let's try to sit together and imagine a better future for them.
I think a lot of people will be strangely heartened within these circumstances to hear what you've said there. Pastor Nims, just to remind me, where is the vigil precisely tonight? What time does it start? Let's just give that a bit of publicity. It's
starting at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It's on Monument Way, which is actually where the incidents were meant to have started, right by the police station. There's a place called High Cross. So Monument Way in Tottenham, closest tube station, Seven Sisters. Sorry for doing this cheap publicity.
Absolutely not. Listen, best of luck with that, and thank you very much indeed for your time and your thoughts. Pastor Nims Oblinge, the Chief Executive of the Peace Alliance. Now, this is Sky News, and on the website, skynews.com.